Hello there. Mr. MICRØ, the very helpful friend that he is, he has informed me of a hypothesis based on workshop skin submissions. There seems to be a bit of a pattern that can be tracked and can be very useful to everybody. But first of all, we should start off with talking about that German guy. TGG, or that German guy, he is a long-time community member in the Rust workshop, and every week you may have noticed that he will produce a list of skins. We could call it a very nicely curated list of skins that also get showcased in his weekly YouTube videos, as you can see right here. Very, very nice. Top skins. But what is this actually for? Well, you should know that TGG, he doesn't necessarily work for FacePunch, but rather he is with an agreement that every week he will go through the workshop, he will make a curated list of skins that could easily fit into Rust, don't appear to have any potential DMCA problems, no copyright issues, no racism, no language used on the skins that are regional and whatnot, no potential problems or issues that could arise with certain skins. Let's put it that way. He will produce a very nice list and then he will put it forward to them every week. And FacePunch, the devs of Rust, they will take a look at it, and it definitely helps them get a good idea of what potentially could they pick for the next Rust rotation. So, as I was alluding to, TGG doesn't necessarily get paid by FacePunch for providing his curated lists of the skins every week, but rather, every few months, probably every 3 months, he will work with a skin creator, and as you can see, he gets a new bombshell skin introduced to the workshop, and it is always 100% guaranteed to be accepted. Because what happens is all of the sales that happen, all the money will then go towards TGG and the skin creator. That is what he gets out of his part of the deal. So yes, for these past few years, FacePunch has benefited from TGG's quality control, and usually we will see every week by Tuesdays the routine of a new collection being created and then a new video being showcased, as you can see on his channel, Rust Top Skins, every single week. But how does this routine properly play out every week with the skins and the submissions? So it's another Monday, and as you can see, with my curated workshop, I can see many new skins have appeared today. Over the past few hours, all of these have been uploaded. Some of these new skins adding to some important collections. Some of these skins potentially trying to start off new collections. But are there some rules behind when they should be submitted? Is there a time frame where we can figure out when they potentially might be accepted in another Rust store rotation? Let's go. So we're about to learn a whole bunch of new terminology. We're about to understand these new rules that you probably aren't aware of. First of all, let's go over the deadline that TGG has for his collections. We've seen all of these new skins, correct? But there's definitely going to be some more added. In fact, the deadline for the skin submissions that can then be potentially added to TGG's list and then appear in his top skins video, it is 23:59 on a Monday in the PST time zone. No minute later. That is it. If you fail to reach that deadline, you will not be accepted to the new collection and you wouldn't be seen in a top skins video. Hello there, Future Hedge here, just to quickly interject and make a point. I must clarify that skin creators are allowed to have one exception to the deadline, and sometimes exceptions are made for emergencies. Any exceptions the skin creators might need must be notified in advance before the deadline. And with that, back to you, Past Hedge. So, most creators definitely want to be able to reach within that timeline and of course be on that wonderful, wonderful list that he makes. But why? So that investor lingo, here they are. So this is the early, typical and late. The early, typical and late picks. So what I'm referring to here is the workshop submission acceptance. When a skin is submitted and then potentially added to a particular week's Rust store rotation. So, first of all, I want to talk about typical. This is the usual. This is what we mostly see on a regular basis, the typical skin submission. So, a skin will appear on a Monday in a workshop, meets the deadline. It will then appear in TGG's list. It will then appear in a TGG video. And then potentially, not that week, but the week after, the list will be provided to FacePunch, and they very likely could then pick that skin. And then it appears in the next roster rotation. Understand? Very typical, very understandable. However, things could behave ever so slightly differently. So you have to understand that the list that TGG provides isn't the end-all be-all. Rather, FacePunch could easily do something differently. What? What's that mean? Well, what you have to understand is, with a typical skin acceptance where there's a week delay, sometimes FacePunch might turn around and say, hang on a minute, we've just checked some of these new skins in the workshop and we quite like them. We'd rather have that accepted this week right now. That skin would be an early pick, and it has not followed the usual routine. Rather, it's pretty much appeared on the Monday and then was accepted on the Thursday. Alternatively, we do have the late picks. Now, for a skin that was submitted on this Monday and the next week was put in a list and showcased in the TGG video but wasn't accepted as a skin during that week, well, the week after, FacePunch could just turn around and say, you know what, we know we didn't pick that skin from the previous week that you showed us in that list, but we kind of like it and we want to introduce it this week. That is a late pick. Right, so I understand with all that new terminology it probably wouldn't be super easy to comprehend. Understandable. Why don't I give you a nice example? So, as you can see here, with the July 7 Rustore rotation, very nice set of skins. But let's go take a look at the workshop submission page for the Black Gold hoodie. And as we can see here, it was submitted on the 27th of June. Now if I show you my calendar right here, 27th of June, and then 1 week later it appears on the 7th of July Rustore rotation. A typical pick. But we now have here the Blacksmith's Hatchet, and you can see it was submitted on the 5th of July, but it then appeared on the 7th of July Rustore rotation. It was an early pick. Now let me also just point out to you time zones. So remember the deadline, 23:59 for the PST time zone. I am not from America. I'm not from the west of America. I'm from England. I'm in the UK. My time zone is about 8-9 hours ahead compared to there. So yeah, the times that you see here are going to appear differently wherever you are in the world. So you need to understand and always be in reference to what is the time zone difference with the PST time zone with you. As you can understand, this was a typical pick. This was an early pick. Why not go see all the previous Rustore rotations and see what was an early pick, what was a typical pick, and what was a late pick compared to the submissions and accepted skins during those weeks. Hello again, back to here. And I'm guessing that you probably are questioning, why as an investor would I care about keeping up to date with this routine? Well, we always need to be checked in and keeping an eye on the workshop. Why? Because we need to always be speculating about the next possible profitable adventure that we can go into. What I was saying is, do you remember when I pointed out the black gold face mask and chest plate right here? So, you may or may not be aware that this is actually continuing on from the clothing that just appeared a week or two ago. No, 2 weeks ago, that's it. And the very second that the clothing appeared, we started to speculate. We started to think, surely some armor's potentially going to appear. Surely tier 3 or tier 2 might appear. Well, from what we can see here, it has now appeared. And now as we look onto the market page listings that we see over here, maybe it's time to jump in. Maybe it's time to jump in, grab a whole bunch more, because there could very likely be a very good chance that this is going to be accepted maybe in the next Rustore rotation. Let me just point out, I'm referring to the the chest plate and the face mask. There's a very good chance that that could be accepted. And what would happen if that does then get accepted? Well, the likes of the hoodie and pants will spike up in price. This is the typical reactionary nature of the Rust economy. We always see this happen. When more main core parts of a set gets accepted into a collection and appear in a Rust or rotation, the pre-existing parts, for example, the black gold hoodie and pants, the very second that black gold tier 3 appears in a Rust or rotation, this will spike up in price. We very recently just had that happen with low poly. So that is why you, as an investor, always need to keep refreshing on a Monday or a Tuesday and keep an eye on what's potentially coming in. Because potential means potential profits. Anticipation is always something you should be doing. So I would just like to clarify that if a skin wasn't accepted during this 3-week time frame, it isn't necessarily the end for it, or rather, we have seen some anomalies before. So a good example to show you would be the June 2nd update, the combat update. This was when many weapons had their recoils changed. So what you see here is a very big Rust rotation with many different weapon skins. What I'm led to believe is, during this week, Facepunch wanted people to be encouraged to try out using all of the weapons. What did they do? Make a whole bunch of skins for individual weapons. But the thing is though, quite a lot of these weapon skins were actually picked from very, very old submissions. Well, what do I mean? So let me just point out, June 2nd, 2022, when did the Shards Python get put onto the workshop? Oh, the 21st of March. Huh. Vortex LR300, the 2nd of May. Monster Custom SMG, the 7th of March. Digital Carbon MP5, the 8th of March. So yes, whilst there were a few of those skins that did meet the time frame, quite a lot of them did not. But this is quite a special occasion. They wanted to have some very nice skins, and maybe during that week there just wasn't anything that they felt was up to standard. So they had to dig deep, they had to look deeper into the older archives of what was already submitted in the workshop. So yeah, we had quite a lot of skins that were originally appearing in around March time, a good 3 months before this actual update came out. Now, to add on that anomaly, we also have the holiday weeks, the special weeks where we're supposed to only have skins that are related to the chosen holiday. As you can see here, I have Easter 2022. Well, the creators aren't always fully aware of when this week is going to happen, and of course, what happens when they submit their skins, their regular skins, during the week where they're only supposed to be Easter or Christmas or Halloween, Valentine's, you name it. Well, they're not going to be accepted this week, but yeah, you can understand where they might accidentally get skipped a bit, but maybe they then get accepted at a later date. This then leads us to September 2021. We had 2 Rust rotations that were called Complete the Sets. And this was all about revisiting collections of certain skins, as you can see here, which were never accepted in Rust rotations, but they were all part of very popular collections. So as we can see here, the Molten Visage Garage Door, No Mercy Sleeping Bag, or what about the Phantom Face Mask? So remember, September 2021, but these were submitted on January 2021, 7th of October 2019, and the 4th of May 2019. So yeah, they definitely went quite a way back. This could potentially happen again this year. It could be a routine thing that happens. Just be prepared that it could very likely happen again. So yes, maybe your skins weren't accepted, or the skins that you're very interested in weren't accepted during this 3-week time period, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end. So yes, certain skin submissions probably won't be accepted during that 3-week time period, but there is an even different thing to point out, and it's something you are probably going to notice when you keep keeping an eye on the workshop submission skins. So as you can see, I'm looking through all the accepted skins, because quite recently we had something different appear. We had Target Road Sign collection, but version 2. So the creators of this set, they originally pushed this towards the workshop in January 2022, but it wasn't accepted. Understandable. But they decided, why don't we just make some changes to the textures and, you know, put it back on? And it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We usually see these be called version 2s. And lo and behold, it was accepted. And what we've now noticed quite recently is a lot of people are doing the exact same thing. They're pretty much trying their chances. So as we can see here, Skull Killer face mask and Skull Killer chest plate. So as you can see here, this was submitted on the 10th of July. So a week ago, right? But it originally came out over a month ago. But once the creator realised, oh, it doesn't look like it's going to be accepted, he then went back to it, added some scratches, added some extra cool looking details. He essentially made an improved version, and he's now resubmitted it. So this now has another chance to see if it can get accepted in a restore rotation. This is something that you do need to be aware of, and it's something that you have to keep an eye out for, because as you know, it could very well keep happening again and again and again with many other different collections. Yeah. So yes, sorry if that was quite a lot to take in, maybe a bit of information overload, but it's definitely very helpful for you, the investor. When you understand this time frame that you see here, you'll understand that maybe some of your investments that you've already bought into very likely are going to waste away. Let's say if you happen to have invested in the toy collection with all of its armour, or the Glister collection, which is, as you can see, missing a certain piece, because both of these collections that I've highlighted here, toy collection is missing its clothing, still needs hoodie and pants. But the hoodie and the pants was submitted on the 6th of June. Right now, it's the 18th of July. Glister collection is missing its tier 3 armour. Glister face mask and chest plate, well, when were they added to the workshop? The 13th of June, about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Learning from what I've mentioned throughout this whole video with the explanations on all of this, you might understand now that it's looking to be that toy collection and Glister collection never will get those final pieces. And if you had invested in both of them already, yeah, they're very likely not going to be spiking up in price, because it's very likely we're not going to be seeing them ever appearing in a restore rotation. So, knowing that, maybe it's time to start selling them up. Or you could cross your fingers and, as I said, maybe we'll see them in a complete the sets in the near future, September time. We can't rule it out. But the more you are aware of the whole situation, the more you are prepared to make a profit or cash out, knowing a profit won't happen with the things that you already own. Understood? So, I would like to thank Mr. MICRØ for identifying all of this. He understood the routine with TGG's collections and videos, and he also applied it by learning pattern identification with the skins for each weeks in the past, over the past year, I believe. So he realised how there was around, well, 3 weeks for all the skins to be accepted. And then he set up this whole diagram, and now we have this whole video to explain it. So please try your best to learn from it, and always, always, always keep an eye out on the workshop, because you never know what might be appearing. We can always... Oh no, it's disappeared. What happened there? It's a surprise! I don't know what happened there. I think something broke. It's a surprise. But like I said, always keep an eye out what might appear in the workshop. We always must speculate, and once we see interesting things appearing on the workshop, much like with what I said with the black gold, we start anticipating. I know that we have tier 3 coming potentially. I might want to jump in and buy some extra pieces. I want to make more profits. So yes, there is always something new to be learned. There's always more profits to be made. Thank you for watching, and thank you, MICRØ, for making this diagram.